SpaceX and NASA are getting ready for a second attempt at history this weekend.
After Wednesday's mission was scrubbed due to severe weather, astronauts will suit up again on the first spacecraft built by a private company approved to launch tomorrow. Astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken are readying themselves for the launch that will get them to the International Space Station. After spending time with family, the two are getting briefed ahead of tomorrow's mission.
There were learning opportunities there. We're always gathering data. But I will tell you, the rocket was ready to go. The crew capsule was ready to go. All the ground systems were working.
The launch will help set a new standard for American space travel, breaking NASA's dependence on Russian spacecrafts and creating a new opportunity for private companies like SpaceX. NASA says at this point it's a 50-50 chance the launch will happen because of the weather. If tomorrow's mission is scrubbed, they'll try again on Sunday.
We're joined now by Madison College astronomy instructor Dixie Burrs to talk about the importance of this launch. Hi, Dixie. Thanks for being with us today.
Hi, how are you?
Great. Why is this launch so historic?
Well, it's the first private government partnership to run a launch. Also, you know, this is the first time since 2011 we've had a launch on American soil. So that's rather exciting.
Yeah, there's a lot at stake. I'm nervous. Are you nervous? I mean, excited, I'm sure, but are you nervous too?
I am excited. There's always a little bit of nerves beforehand. But, you know, this should be as safe or safer than the space shuttle. I mean, they said there's like a 1 in 270 chance of anything going wrong, you know, whereas the space shuttle, out of 135 missions, 2 went wrong. So,
yeah,
you know, this makes it more than twice as safe.
And they've been using this rocket for satellite launch and bringing stuff up to the space station. It's not like this is the first launch of the SpaceX.
Oh no, they've done quite a bit, and you know, having them bring people is going to be a huge economic boost for this country. I mean, it costs a lot for us to have Russia send them something like 86 million, and we'll save 30 million per astronaut. And the money we're investing goes into private industry, our own private companies, instead of to another country.
Yeah, and the science of it is so fascinating. What do you think this means for the future of space travel?
It is exciting as far as a science standpoint, because if we can get private companies to do things like low Earth orbit launches, that frees up the government funds that NASA has to actually explore the envelope, push things scientifically. I mean, we're interested in going to the moon in 2024, the Artemis project. You know, we eventually want to go to Mars. SpaceX is interested in doing these things, and if SpaceX wants to be involved in a Mars colony or a Mars base, then they have to be able to master bringing humans to low Earth orbit.
So it's more economical to get an outside vendor than for NASA to do it itself?
Definitely.
Why is that?
They decided to do that with partnership, and this decision was made, you know, back earlier in this century here, because then their money would be able to be used for other things. You know, and if we want to put humans in space, we need access to the International Space Station regularly to do science and experiments and learn, you know, how does the body respond to space?
Yeah, how long are they going to be up there? Do we know what the details of the mission?
Well, if they launch tomorrow, it's going to take them about 19 hours to get to the International Space Station. And I think they plan to keep them up there for about 3 months at least before they brought them down.
And then the return is like the old Apollo days. They're going to splash down in the ocean.
Yeah, that's what makes SpaceX neat, and that's why SpaceX can do it cheaper, is it's recyclable. You know, they'll retrieve those parts and then clean them up, and they'll be able to use it again.
Now, what happens if it doesn't happen tomorrow and then they also miss the window on Sunday? Then what happens?
Then they're going to have to decide, you know, when is the next opportunity they have. And that's certainly weather dependent. It's dependent upon, you know, the technology, the astronauts being ready, do they have things, but also the timing of when the International Space Station is in the right spot so that they can rendezvous with it.
It's like rocket science.
Yeah.
It is rocket science. But, you know, since the International Space Station is in orbit around the Earth, there will be several opportunities it's easy to rendezvous with pretty regularly. It's just there are other concerns, engineering-wise here on Earth we have to think about as well.
All right.
And weather.
2:22 tomorrow afternoon is
Local
the scheduled
time.
launch time. Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Joining us from the surface of the moon, Dixie Burns, thanks for being with us today on this Friday.
All right.
We'll be right back.